Yo, Happy New Year! Hope you guys had a nice holiday. Mine was alright. I gotta get better about these videos, man. It's a combination of laziness, focusing on other things, and just laziness. I guess for 2023, I'll get a little bit better about this. So here we are with part 2 of dating hierarchies in Japan. Mainly I'm talking about the racial dating hierarchy in Japan. In the first video, we looked at the it's all right if it's all white. You know, they're the number one most preferred race in my opinion. Now we're gonna go to number 2, which is the group that includes myself. And that is black people, the black man. Yeah. So, like I said in my last video, personally, I would say it's white guys, huge gap, number 2 being black guys. Let's get into this. Now, if you listen to my last video and you're thinking to yourself, oh, I'm not white, oh, I can't have a good time, I'm black, what? Yeah, you still can have a very good time in Japan. Now, honestly, this is more of a general thing. I don't know about these days with the young 20-something-year-olds nowadays because they're weird. They grew up with smartphones, not connected to family. They're just odd. They're a little odd. You talk to them and they don't have not all of them, not everyone, but I would say they don't have as strong social skills as older generations. So I can't really tell you how fun it is to date them now because I'm not in that pool of people. But back to the black man experience. This is going to sound, I guess, a little racist because I guess it kind of is. I guess it's colorist. I guess that's the term that's used, but I don't think it's necessarily in the same way that it might be used in America. But without a doubt, being a lighter-skinned black guy works to your benefit in Japan because there is an image of black guys being scary in Japan, which I fully blame on media, right? They don't have a lot of black people in Japan. So they basically get us through exported media. That includes news media, but also film and television and music and all that kind of stuff. There is definitely an image of black guy is scary for some people. Older people, not even just older people, but in general kind of scary. And it also doesn't help that there is a history of shady Africans doing dealings in Japan. I don't know how much of a thing that is today, but historically, in places like Roppongi up in Tokyo and things like that, Africans were doing some nonsense. And it kind of just fucked the image of black people in general, which kind of sucks. I mean, we all know it was a small group of these African dudes doing this, but they just fucked it up for everyone. And so I think for a lot of Japanese people, when they picture a black person, they picture like a dark-skinned, like African person. As you can tell from the little avatar that I'm using, I mean, it's an AI-generated portrait, but it's pretty accurate to the way I look. And the skin tone is pretty much bang on. And I oftentimes in the past have gotten confused by Japanese people for Brazilian, which I guess could work. I mean, I could be from Brazil with looking like this, but they don't immediately picture me as just like a black person. And then my facial features are not particularly black. So like if you look at the shape of my nose and the shape of my lips and all that kind of stuff, right? It's not what they would picture as a black person. So I don't typically trigger necessarily the part of the brain that's like, oh, scary black person. I'm big, I'm like 6'2" and a big dude, so that triggers people sometimes, oh, big and scary. And especially with my beard, I get real racially ambiguous with the beard. And especially when my beard is long, like really long. I one time had an Indian dude walk up to me and he asked me, he said, are you Indian? And I was like, no, but my beard was quite long. I swear to God, when I have a long beard, if you were to put me in some traditional clothing from the Middle East and just drop me off in a country in the Middle East that was not Israel, people would probably think I'd fit right in. All that to say, the color definitely is a factor. Actually, back in the day, this is over 10 years ago. Back when, we used to actually go out to meet people. I know those are ancient techniques, but we would go out to meet people, of course. But then, foreigner in Japan, you would also, you hit up some of the online dating sites to extend your reach, right? Especially if you don't live in a place like Tokyo or Osaka, where at the time I was living in freaking more countryside city. And so you're trying to expand your reach as much as possible. And I forget which site it was. It wasn't a Japanese site, but it had a Japanese version. And on some level, you could check to see who like clicked on your profile and things like that, right? So I was noticing the amount of women that would check out my profile. And then I thought I'd do a little test. I removed my race from my profile. Now, why did I do that? Because when you would search for people, you could search like, okay, race doesn't matter, search for a particular race, or what you were not interested in. Crazy thing that happened. When I removed my race, I got a whole lot more women checking out my profile, which showed me something very interesting. What it showed me was that I couldn't tell whether or not they were checking race doesn't matter, or they want a white guy or a Japanese guy or another type of Asian guy or whatever. But what it did tell me is that they were actively choosing to not search for black guys. And what would happen is they wouldn't search for black guys, and so I would never come up. But once I removed my race, because that didn't trigger in their search, they would see my profile and be like, oh, he looks attractive or interesting, and then check me out. So I didn't fit what their image of a black person was. They had an image of a black person, which I explained earlier, and that's what they thought. So they're like, I'm not into that. So yeah, I would say it definitely is a factor. Here's an interesting thing that I found out recently. My girlfriend, who I've been dating for over 2 years, she, even though she has dated, I think she said like 2 Japanese guys, she said that she kind of recognized that foreigners are kind of what she was into when she was like 14 years old. She just also happens to be into like bald, or said it, shaved head, bald, black dudes with beards. Anyway, she recently told me that when she was like in her early 20s, if she remembers correctly, this was way before she met me, her mom had told her, because I guess at this point her mom mainly, but her dad had also recognized that, oh, my daughter is into foreign guys. That's probably what she's going to bring home. She told her, oh yeah, it's fine to bring home a foreign guy, just don't bring home a black guy. And she confronted her mom about it, just like, well, why not? What's the deal here? And then her mom said, oh, because they're scary. And she's like, well, what? You're kind of like discriminating. Like, why you just say that they're scary? Of course, her mom had no good answers. And she thinks that her mom is okay with me is because one, just time between like when she had said that and now. And also my girlfriend theorizes that because I don't look like a quote unquote scary black guy, that she's more comfortable with me, and that I'm speaking Japanese and all that kind of stuff. By the way, I'm not really angry about this. I thought it was kind of funny. I'm just like, oh, well, yeah. I mean, her mom is from the countryside, has probably never even spoken to a black person before meeting me, really, had any real conversation with a black person before meeting me, spent any significant time with a black person before meeting me. So I'm just like, okay, sure, whatever. But she has a friend who is I don't know, like reggae dancer, whatever the fuck that means. That means something different in Japan. I don't know, reggae dancer, right? This woman has been to Jamaica and all this kind of stuff. And she said that her friend's mom told her to not bring home a black guy, basically for the same reasons. But I asked her, I said, has this friend ever actually even been with a black guy? And she said, no, which brings me to one of the more challenging types that are in this country. And I'm still trying to process this emotionally because I don't really know how to feel about it, because I'm not one of those people that are like, ugh, my culture is not a costume when I'm like Halloween and things like that. But you have the types like my girlfriend's friend who are so into everything that black people innovated and want nothing to do with being romantically involved with any of those people. And you're kind of like, so you like everything from the things that people like me have created, but the idea of you actually being romantically involved with one of us, you're just like, oh, no. Just give me your culture. I don't want anything to do with you, actually. And again, I don't think they think that far or about it, but I don't know. I'm struggling with this one. But you do have those types that you would think they'd be open to dating black guys. They're into hip hop. They're into reggae. They're into this. They're into such things that black people have pioneered, but they don't want anything to do with you. They're like, no, Japanese dude. Now they may smash. They may do that. They may bang you. But as far as like, oh, getting married to one and having kids and a family, oh, no, we're not, we're not doing that. Lord knows there have been times where I suspect they just wanted that Negro experience. And then after that, they were done. They were like, okay, I got that experience. I'm good. All right, I'm going to go back to my regular life now. But you know what's funny enough? Who don't do that? The Japanese women into African cultural things from whatever particular country it may be. Those women, they're like super into it. They are married to African dudes. They embrace their husband's culture, the hair they wear, the way they dress. They like full ride or die, jump into it with their husband. That I have seen. If they're kind of into African stuff, they are married to an African dude. Like that I have seen. And actually this brings me to a related group that honestly, I think any person would hate. And those are the fetishizers. These are the ones that either are military fetishizers where they love America and just want to leave Japan, and so they'll only go after military dudes. Now in that case, it can be military dudes that are white, military dudes that are black, or they don't care just as long as he's a military guy. But then you have the ones who fetishize black guys, specifically American black guys, and specifically the whole hip hop world. That is incredibly annoying. I mean, there'd be times where guys would come up from the military bases to my city, and they would all, of course, go to the black club. This is the club that was owned by black dudes and was all hip hop and all that kind of stuff. These guys were walking black stereotypes, something that I am not. And the women they would be with would just be fitting that stereotype. They fit the stereotype of like a ratchet looking black woman. And you think to yourself, why do they do this? But that's what they see on TV. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of these women were bad. But the big old hoop earrings, the hair, the way they dressed, the stereotype. They want that stereotype. There are those who, they fetishize black guys. I mean, this even exists for the white dudes, except it's more like they fetishize like British guys or something. Like, he has to be British. I want to know British English. I want a British guy. I want that. They have this weird stereotype about British dudes or something like that. So yeah, those are the worst, right? But I guess I'm just trying to say that, look, you come here, you can have just as much fun and meet someone as everyone else. But yes, you just, be aware of the fact that you might be considered scary. You might not be as desired as white guys. You might run into a lot of women that like a lot of things that black people pioneered and are sort of at the forefront of, but they want nothing to do with you romantically. And you're going to run into those that will fetishize you, which if you're into that, that's cool, but that's never going to last, right? You just feel like an object, like a thing to satisfy them. I mean, people talk about yellow fever. Well, the reverse is true as well. And they're called Gaijin Hunters. All right. They exist just as much as the guy that fetishizes Asian women or Asian people do. Oh, and I will say this. If you are a black woman and you come across a Japanese man that is into a lot of things like black related things, black cultural things, in my experience, they are definitely open to dating black women. They are not like Japanese women are with that stuff. If they're kind of into that, then they're usually going to be pretty into or open to black women. You might just have to approach them first. Just putting that out there for you black ladies. That may happen. Or you could also run into guys that fetishize you as well. That does happen too. So just putting that out there. So I guess, that's really what's at the top of my head about the black man experience in Japan with dating. I mean, it is what it is. Go enjoy yourself. Don't be a weirdo. Talk to people. And if they don't want to date you because you're black, fuck them. Fuck them. Move on. They just saved you time. You can move on to someone that isn't so concerned about that aspect of it. So yeah, that's really it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. If you like the video, like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's cool. I get it. So I guess this year is why I say like and share this video, and I will see you in part 3 of this topic. Later.